all of you. So on behalf of PhD Management Principal Department of ECE and my own behalf, I welcome Dr. S. Jayakumar, founder, Asha Seva Kendram.org, Coimbatore. And also I welcome all the participants for day 2, session 3 of AICTE IST sponsored induction program for integration of pedagogical strategies with the ICT for transformation of engineering education. I feel extremely honored to introduce our resource person to this virtual gathering. So Dr. Jayakumar completed his BTech from IIT Madras and he completed his MS and PhD from Purdue University, USA. Professionally, he is a chemical engineer and he worked for 25 years in the chemical industry in USA. He also studied Vedanta for over 25 years under Pujya Swami Dayananda Saraswati of Asha Vidya Gurukulam. In Houston, USA, he founded Asha Vidya Satsanga and established Vedanta, Samskritam and Vedic Heritage. In 2010, he was awarded the Atul Chopra Unsung Hero Award for his leadership and service to Houston community. He also founded Indian History Awareness and Research, which worked with the governments of Texas state in US and also combining two states in India. And it brought many changes to social studies textbooks. So after he returned to India in 2015, he studied full-time in ashram of Swami Dayananda Saraswati for 2 years. And since then, he is teaching Vedanta, Sanskritam, and he built a nation builders like teaching to parents, youth, and teachers. In 2020, the non-profit this Asha Seva Kendram conducted various courses provided food to migrant laborers during this pandemic situations, and also they supported flood relief for Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, and Orissa. So we are very much thankful for accepting our invitation, sir. Thank you, sir. And also once again, I welcome all the participants. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So, thank you for that introduction, and I thank the PSG Institute of Technology and Advanced Research for giving me an opportunity. And at any time, if any of you cannot hear me, please say something, send a message, raise your finger like this, put your finger down, show some signals. So feel free to stop the session. And this is not, I'm not teaching you anything. You don't have to write notes. And this is supposed to be an enjoyable session. And so please be free, and please also ask any questions along the way. Okay, so I appreciate all the introduction, and so yeah, I'm an engineer like all of you, and I saw the roster of registrants. There were about 70 registrants, I think. All were in various fields of engineering. I saw one from mathematics, and mostly everybody else was an engineer, professor of engineering department. So I think I can relate very well with all of you, and I want you also to relate to me. And I am very much an engineer. I'm a chemical engineer, and I did chemical engineering in bachelor's, then master's in chemical engineering, PhD in chemical engineering. And I worked in a chemical company for many years, 20 plus years. So I lived in the US for 30 years and returned to India in 2015. And I quit my job, and I'm basically devoting myself to the study and teaching of Vedanta, Sanskrit, and Indian history, and working with state governments to help them reformulate their history textbooks, social studies textbooks, and so forth. That's my role, and I live here in Coimbatore. And so here today, you may be wondering, what's this guy who has great degrees in engineering and now he's quit 2015 and then sitting doing Vedanta and Sanskrit. So I'm here with a purpose. I've not lost purpose in life. I actually quit my life. I was 51 years old when I quit my company in 2015, and my career was only going up and up and up. And if I work for some more, I can go even up and earn even more money. But I said, this is the time my mind is active, and I've been looking at various things, and I really wanted to contribute to Bharat Mata, our Mother India. And so I wanted to be here and do whatever little I can do. And so that's been my journey. And I'm single, and I have two parents. I take care of them. I live with my parents, and so it's helping them also in the process. And so that's my brief introduction. So the topic of today's talk is this. I gave the title as Who Are We? So you may wonder, what is this question, who are we? As though we don't know who we are. We know where we are employed, we know where we are born, we know our parents, we know which village they came from, we know our grandparents, everything we know which country we are from, everything we know. What is this question, who are we? Well, let me give you an example. So there was an interview long ago, and the CEO of Sony Corporation, it's a Japanese company, was asked, how is it that all these Japanese companies are producing products of such quality? Japan is a small country compared to India, compared to America, compared to any other country, and such a small country making such great products. How do you do it, Mr. Sony? And you know what the CEO said? The CEO said, whatever we do with love and care. When you come to our home, you will see on the table, you may see a flower vase with flowers in it. 3 or 4 flower stalks in the flower vase. Our women spend a lot of time on that. They simply don't place it like this. They will place it, they will spend time arranging it and keep the flowers nicely, and then arrange the vase in the table properly, everything, and then only go. So which means, and now you see that same culture in our products also. We don't make products for the sake of just making products and making money. We love what we do, and you see that in our products. You see our culture reflecting in our products. Okay, am I audible? Yes, thank you. Now, the same question was asked to Mr. Narayana Murthy, CEO of Infosys. And just an example, that's all. For no other purpose, but just to give an example. He was asked, how come you Indians are all so good in programming and computer technology? Wherever you go, these Indians are involved in producing this software, various types of software. The software industry is all powered by Indians. How come Indians are like this? And you know what he said? He said, thanks to the British, they taught us mathematics. And so we are very, and we learned very well from the British. And so we are very good in math. And therefore, you see that in our Indians. This is what he said. When somebody says that, what it means is, hey, Indians did not know any mathematics. And thanks to you people, you colonized us for 250 years. And therefore, and you taught us a lot of things. You civilized us, and you taught us human rights. You taught us how to talk. You taught us English. That's how I'm speaking English. Therefore, I must thank the British at least for that. So that's why we are good. We are very good students. This is the meaning of his statement. Now, suppose he had responded differently. Okay, I'm going to give you a different response. Suppose he said, Pythagoras visited India. Pythagoras visited India in 550 BCE, which is 2,500 years ago. He visited India. Why should Pythagoras visit India? A land that is supposed to be illiterate, where we don't know how to speak, where we don't know mathematics, we don't know any engineering. Why should Pythagoras visit? Is it stupid or not, or what? Did any Indian, any of you visit Ethiopia? Suppose I ask, how many of you will raise your hands? Huh? Everybody has gone to Bali, Indonesia to go sightseeing. They've got to America, various places. They've got to Europe and even New Zealand and all that. But suppose I ask Kenya, did anybody visit? Okay, I once visited. I wanted to see all those the national parks of Kenya. That may be the reason. But so Pythagoras visited India. There must be something. This fellow is a scientist, okay? And they're not going to come for sightseeing and all that. So there must be a reason. Well, he came and studied under our rishis, and he studied what's called the Bodhayana theorem. The Bodhayana theorem, Shulva Sutra, there is something called Shulva Sutras he studied. And he studied that. He studied this particular sutra. You know what it says? I'm going to read the sutra for you. Dirgha Chaturashrayan Akshnaya Rajjuhu. Okay, Rajjuhu means rope. And then Parshvamani Tiryag Mani Chayat Prithak Bhute Kurutaha Tadubhayam Karoti. This is the right angle theorem, which we all have learned as the Pythagoras theorem. Correct? Now, Pythagoras spends many years in India, and then he goes back. And then when he went back, he was called he started an ashram. And then he became a vegetarian in Greece. And he was called a madman because of all this behavior, being a vegetarian and starting a place which doesn't look like a house, but at the same time, it is some kind of a dwelling, and he called it an ashram. And he taught people, students. There were senior students, there were beginner students. They were all sitting. And like a typical ashram of old days, he was teaching. And became a vegetarian. And he used to believe in karma and things like that, because he learned all of that in India. And suppose Narayana Murthy ji said, this is why 2,500 years ago, if Pythagoras could visit us, that means you can imagine how good we were in mathematics. And I can tell you a big list of names since then. And that's why we are good at it. And that's why we are good programmers and computer scientists. Correct? Suppose he had said this. Can you imagine? Can you imagine people in the whole news media and all that, and covering Narayana Murthy quotes the Shulva Sutras, he quotes a Sanskrit shloka, and he talks about Pythagoras visiting India, and in the corridors of Infosys in Bengaluru, Technology City, and Hebbalu, Mysuru, and Hyderabad, and all these places, in the morning coffee time, "Arey, sune kya aap? Aap ye sune kya? Arey, apna Narmo." Narmo is who? Apna Narmo, Narayana Murthy is Narmo. I'm just inventing a name, that's all. Narmo, Arey, he quoted Sanskrit shlokas and all, it seems, yaar. So kya hai ye? Pythagoras India aaya kya? What is all this he's talking? Correct? So waves and waves and waves. Imagine what that would have cost. Okay. I am not blaming Narayana Murthy for anything. We respect him for what he has done for the country. He's a great man. Now, if I was in his position, I would have given the same answer. Why? Because I also studied in the same type of schools that he also studied. Correct? And no difference. We are all the so-called English schools. This is what they did. They suppress every important fact about our past. Why? Because then only we will think that the Britishers were great people, and only then we will salute. Otherwise, tell me, which rishi will salute the British person? You tell me. What is the reason to salute another person? Hey, we're all equals. Why should we salute each other? You also salute me, I can salute you. That's okay. So, this is the story. So, my hope is over the next half hour, 1 hour, to share some examples, paint a picture of what India was and what we are actually teaching our children. Since all of you are educators, you're all professors, you you are influencing the minds of children, and many of you are already or will be in positions where you can influence public policy, and so you have the ability to change the education system. So I wanted to give you some examples now. So this idea that everything came from the West, that British gave us civilization, we became civilized thanks to the British. This idea has manifested, and it is there in all our textbooks, and pretty much every child that comes out of school or college has imbibed that. Okay, why not? So tell me, we've so many sciences in engineering, so many courses we've done. Electrical engineering, what is the unit of charge? Coulomb. What is the unit of force? Newton. What is dynes? What is the unit of pressure? Pascal. What is the unit of watt? I mean, energy, power, watt, energy, joule, erg, Avogadro's number, this, that. Tell me one Indian name there, anywhere. Is there any Indian name? No, there's no Indian name. Charles Law, Boyle's Law. Goes on and on and on and on. Obviously, the child will think science means America, science means Germany, science means Europe. And we have to faithfully learn whatever they taught us. We can't blame anybody. That's how the system is. That's how the system is. Now, one of the questions I ask people is, what is it that makes a country prosperous? If you look at the vision of PSG iTech, I went to the website and I saw that. And so they want to produce children, students, citizens who are knowledgeable, they are world class in their education, they can lead the country to the future, they can be leaders in academia, in research and industry. This is what they say, which is true. Every university should aim to do that. Very laudable, no doubt. Now, but then what about the person's idea of himself or herself? Do they know what their country belongs? Suppose the person is asked, okay, suppose the person in one of your universities, your students invent something, discover something, you write, publish papers, and you go to a conference in America, an international conference of electrical and communication engineering, for example, and you present it. And the audience is all white Americans. Okay, not a single Indian inside. You are the only Indian because you did something great. And okay, a few Indians are there here and there. Now tell me, what is going to go on in the mind of this person? If I were there, I would be afraid a little bit because these are all Americans, white Americans, and how can I be better than the American? This idea can come, correct? This idea can come very much. And so why should I not be better than Americans? That thought never arises. And so that person can shiver from that thought. And while there is no really need for that fear. No American I met in 30 years is shy. And I used to work with so many people, and Americans were never shy of doing things and presenting their ideas. And here I am supposed to be an IITian, okay, and got great degrees and working in a company. And I'm shy to talk. Why? Why am I shy? I'm shy to present my ideas. Why? Why should I be shy? Did I commit a mistake? If I committed a mistake, I'll accept a mistake. There's no problem with that. Hey, these are the ideas. And then I find that these children, the type of education they get is absolutely amazing. They are taught from day one, from the second grade, third grade, fourth grade onwards, they learn about their forefathers. Not forefathers, their founding fathers, the founding fathers of America. How they gave up their lives for this country, for this free country, the land of the free. That's how they call it. Which is true. It is the land of the free. And you can do anything you want in America. In America, you are innocent until you prove that you're guilty. That's all. In India, it is different. You go to all these offices, they ask you as though you're a criminal, they look at you. And kya hai, ye kya hai, wo kya karta hai, ye kyun karte hai, this and that. No, in America, you do whatever you want to do. And you break the law, then if the law, you're caught, then you go to jail. Okay, that's how it is. Yahan par, it's the opposite. You are guilty, you have to prove yourself to be innocent, and only then you get your certificate. Okay, I don't mean the schools, I mean other government offices and all that. Okay, so that's how different these two countries are. And so I learned a lot from that. And so these children, they have a great sense of identity. They take a lot of pride in their country. The child, a 5-year-old girl will come out on a Sunday evening and then what are you doing? I'm raising funds. I'm raising funds for what? American Cancer Society. Cancer is a grave disease. We need to find a cure for it. And therefore, I'm raising money for it. Not that Indians don't do something like that. I'm just giving you some examples. That's all. And the pride with which I used to see these people. Then I began doing more research and thinking more. I looked at other countries and why is great? Why is Germany a great country? Hitler massacred 6 million to 18 million Jews, they say. Okay. Massacred. Hitler was a German. Germans should be ashamed of themselves, correct? No. You go to Germany today, not a single German is ashamed of their past. They talk about the Holocaust. Textbooks talk about Holocaust and they say, we are ashamed of this. I mean, this should not have happened, but we are studying it, therefore, so that it never happens again. Nowhere in the world should happen. And they're all proud. German engineering is the best engineering in this world. Correct? Correct. Look at all the cars, Mercedes, Benz, and all these cars are there and comes from Germany. I was in Munich once and they have Mercedes Benz has a showroom, and the showroom, it has some 6 or 7 stories and near Munich, not exactly Munich, but some 50 kilometers away, I think. And I went to that museum, and all the way from the time the Benz company was started, there is a nice escalating stairway, and you can keep going like this, and you can see all the different model cars they made. Look at the pride they have in there. Just one company, not even the country. I'm talking about a company. What pride they take in their engineering. Even though the Benz company was complicit in the crimes, these fellows supported Hitler, but they're not ashamed. Hey, that's how it was those days. Why do you blame me for it? No, that's not correct. I agree. But don't blame us for it. Okay. So this is what I learned from all this. So, but here in India, we got a different set of problems. And Hitler massacred Jews, massacred 3 million Jews just in Poland. Poland is a small country in Europe, okay? 3 million Jews got massacred, gassed, sent to gas chambers. Can you imagine Poland naming a city or a street after Adolf Hitler? Can any of you imagine? If you can't imagine, say like this. Yeah, can't imagine. No way, no way Poland will name any city, any street after Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler Avenue. Can you imagine that? Nowhere in Europe, of course, and of course not in America. But in India, we have all these things. There was a university called Nalanda University. Okay, how many of you have heard of Nalanda? Just raise your hand. Yeah. It was one of the greatest universities the world ever had. It was established in 500 CE. That is 1,500 years ago. Okay. It was a university where people from all over the world applied. They used to have a selection criteria like your universities have today. And their resumes were sent from China and Japan and Europe. And they used to select students. And they had various departments. And Nalanda University was a big university. And they had large libraries. Roaring. It was a Buddhist center of learning. And center of learning period at its peak, there were 10,000 resident students, not students visiting, resident students, and 2,000 resident faculty members. Can you imagine this? 1,500 years ago. Okay. So clearly India was an educated country, literate country. Only a literate country can have a university. This Bakhtiyar Khilji, and he was one of the Mughal emperors, conquerors, and he came and he said, what is this? This is a library, this is a university. And no, does it teach Islam? No, it doesn't teach Islam. No, I'm not talking about religions, okay? Don't get carried away. Hindu is talking about Islam. No, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not interested in all that. I'm telling you exactly what Bakhtiyar Khilji said. You can Google and find out. And he said, no, it's of no use, because they're not teaching Islam. Therefore, burn it down. And this fellow burnt the entire university. And they say the university was burning for months. The library in the university was burning for months. Okay, this is a fact. And now the story is not over. The way to go to this place by train is you have to get off at the station, and the name of the station is Bhaktiyarpur. Okay, does that shake you a little bit? At least a little bit. Okay. Hey, Bhaktiyar Khilji was the guy who massacred people and killed all this, destroyed this university. You can't name this railway station as Bhaktiyarpur. Call it Nalanda University Railway Station or something. Nalanda Mahavidyalaya. So people can remember it. This is because we are all colonized. We really don't know. We are waiting for instructions. Remote control mein aana chahiye. Ye karo, wo karo. Only then we will do it. This is what I think so. Things are changing, of course, very rapidly, which is good. But I'm saying this is our country, India. Like this, there are so many examples we can give. Okay, that we haven't even figured out what is this country we want, and we are suppressing the history like this. And Lodi was genocidal. And in Delhi, you have Lodi colony, you have Lodi street, you have Lodi this, Lodi that. And so it's amazing. Only in India you'll have that. Okay. So anyway, I don't have anything about any religions and all that. I'm talking about facts and what happened in history. Okay. Now, what about our history textbooks? Because we learn all this from our history only, and we all learn it from history in schools. And we never liked history. I never liked history at all. I used to sleep in history classes. How many of you slept in history classes? You have to be honest, okay? Okay. Bharati Sahu says yes. Okay, I'm very happy. I have company. I have company. Good. And I used to wonder when this class will get over. And if I don't attend, the teacher will scold me. And they will call parents and they will do all kinds of stuff. So I have to attend the class. And at the same time, history is part of the curriculum and the exams have to be written. So I used to memorize, mugging. How many of you mugged history? Mugged up history. Yeah, Vasudha, everybody mugged history. This is how we passed all these exams. Kavita also mugged history. Yeah, good. I have more company. And mug up and then vomit. Go to the exam, just vomit. After vomiting, just forget everything. Go to the next class. This is how history was. And in America, I looked up the history books of America. I used to wonder how these children are so proud of their country. And I look up the books. My God, these books talk so much about their founding fathers and what all they did. They gave up their lives. They put up with disease. They put up with this and that cold, brutal winters. They talk about, and they suffered, and then they wrote the Constitution, and this and that, and this and that. It goes on and on and on. They went from, the Britishers came from they came to the east coast of America, here, and then that's that. Whatever, the eastern coast of America, New York, east of New York, they came, they landed, and then they established a colony and all that. Then slowly they expanded, and then they went from here all the way, and then they walked, they went by horse carriage, etc. And then they went to California, which is on the west side. And then they discovered gold. Like this, the whole story, children are told about it. And the children know every bit of their history. This is why they are proud of their country. And in my opinion, my theory is, this is why America is prosperous. Not because they're hardworking people, as though Indians are not hardworking people. No, I can't accept that. Indians are as equally hardworking. As though resources are there only in America. No, Indians also have resources. The earth is available, minerals are available, all kinds of resources are available. What else then? Everything is available in every country. So why India is not progressive? Why is India constantly called a developing nation? Developing nation is a euphemism for saying India is a poor country. Okay. And so this is America. And history they teach. And then one more important fact I will tell you. This history is so important. The American government considers the subject of history as a national security issue. Let me repeat that statement. The American government considers the teaching of history as a national security issue, which means what? It is not simply left to some educators. It has to be taken as a priority. and any American who is not taught the proper history will bring about a weakness of America. That is how they look at it. Okay. Are you following me? Am I audible? Okay, I'm audible. Thank you. So that's the story. Back in India, our history textbooks, what do they teach? Well, I never heard of Ramanujan. I never heard of our accomplishments. I never heard of this Sulba Sutras and all that. Some mention was there somewhere. That's about it. Now, I'm working with a couple of states in India. And they asked us to review their history textbooks. And because we had done some good work in America, we did some work and somehow the word went around. And so they are asking us to review textbooks. So we reviewed their 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th standard social studies textbooks. And so we started looking. I'll give you an example. One textbook says, when they talk about agriculture and British rule and so forth, they said the British implemented some agricultural reforms, and in the process, thousands of famines were caused and thousands died due to famines. Famine, right? All of you heard me. Famine. Famine means, see, I have never lived through a famine, so we may not know what a famine is. Famine means a time when there is drought and food. There is food shortage of grains. Okay, that is called a famine. And so thousands died. Now, what I did is I researched the idea of famines during British rule. And so there is a good books written on this. And I looked up one book, and Churchill's Secret War. Okay, Madhushri Mukherjee, I think is her name. You can Google and find out. And great book she has written. And so this history of famines of India is very well available in the public domain. And I listed all the famines that happened. 1770, Bengal famine. 1780, Rajasthan and that area, that famine. 1790, Deccan, Hyderabad, that area of famine. Okay, Bengal famine of 1770. You know how many people died? 10 million. 10 million, one followed by 7 zeros. Okay, the textbook is saying thousands died. Okay, the reality is, in that one famine of 1770, 10 million people died. Okay, go forward 10 years. 1780, Rajasthan, how many people died in that famine? 11 million. 1790, Deccan, Hyderabad, how many people died? 10 million. If we add all these famines, and then 1943 Bengal famine, 3.5 million, 3.6 million people died. Okay, and this textbook says thousands died. Tell me what is going on? Should we accept this kind of teaching? And so we wrote this, we sent this article and we said, no, it's not correct. The British were responsible for the famines. We provided all the references. And Winston Churchill, during the 1945-46, when this Bengal famine was going on, a telegram was sent and he was told, hey, you are transferring all the ships of grains are going to London from India. We need some ships back because people are dying. You know what he said? He sent a telegram back. He said, Indians are beastly people. I hate them. And it is their own fault. They are multiplying like rats. Indians are multiplying like rats. That's the telegram he sends back. Then again, a few weeks passed and more deaths. And another telegram was sent from Delhi to Winston Churchill, to which he responds, if so many people are dying, why did Mahatma Gandhi not die yet? That was his response. Okay. Do you want your children to know all this? Or do you want your children to learn some nonsense given in textbooks today? I want my children, and I want all our children, our Indian children, to learn all this. They must know the facts. Don't hide the facts. Not correct. We're not saying British are bad people and all that. We don't say Germans are bad people just because Hitler killed Jews, right? So we have to talk about facts. And so this is one example. Like this, there are hundreds of examples. of history textbooks, which just hide facts completely. The most famous mistake they make is the Aryan invasion theory. Aryans invaded, there were some Indians, and then the native Indians were invaded by some Aryans who were visiting from the northwest of India. This is the theory. This is a theory. That theory has been debunked long ago, but still our books talks about this. And the idea of the invasion theory is Indians really were stupid people. They had to be colonized. So these Aryans came from the northwest, and they came and they civilized the population those days. So any technological advancement you talk about, they can claim that it was the Aryans that invented that zinc smelting technology. Zinc smelting. Okay, Indians smelted zinc ore 2,500 years ago. You know, can any of us imagine all these things? Indians developed the first distillation of zinc in the 12th century. They were making zinc. They were purifying zinc long ago. But the distillation of zinc, Indians invented it also. And zinc was important because zinc is an important part of alloys, so brass and things like that, copper and zinc. Okay, there are some chemical engineers in the audience. When I learned chemical engineering, nobody taught me that Indians knew about alloys so many thousands of years ago. Correct? Wouldn't it be nice to know all these things? So, I'll give you another example. Yajnavalkya was a scientist, was a rishi, and 5,000 years ago, he says, you know what he says? He says the distance between the earth and the sun. Earth is here, sun is out there, and the distance between these two is 108 times the diameter of the sun. The distance between the earth and the sun is 108 times the diameter of the sun. And he also says the distance between the earth and the moon, okay, is 108 times the diameter of the earth. Okay, you got it? Am I audible? Thank you. Thank you. See, in a physical class, we don't ask these questions. Am I audible? Am I visible? And this and that. We don't ask all these questions. Now I have to do all these things. Okay. So this is what he says. You know what today's modern numbers are? Modern day numbers? That first 108 to the sun is 107.6. The second 108 is 110 point something. 5. What happened? How did Yajnavalkya figure this out 5,000 years ago? Shouldn't we find out? Shouldn't our departments, our universities have research departments, history departments that sponsor research, that invite scholars, invite students who are interested in history and ask them to do research, pay them a stipend and do it? Every university in America has a history department. They are studying all cultures, all countries. They are doing research. They are issuing masters and PhD. What's happening in India? Why are we not doing it? Ask people to study about Yajnavalkya and come back. What did he do? How did he do? What were the methods he adopted? How did he know the distance? Did he have a telescope or what? Or did he simply was sitting like a rishi, with a beard, and then he figured it out? Find out. Do the research. Data is available. Did he have students? Did he pass it on? And how did he pass it on? What was the methods used? And astronomy. Today we have astrology and astronomy. Okay. And our forefathers and foremothers were experts in astronomy and astrology. Experts means with a capital E. Capital E, okay? And they knew so much about these celestial objects. And this pole star, Dhruva Nakshatra. They used to call it Dhruva Nakshatra. Today it's called pole star. All this was invented long ago. Okay. And okay, that's one story. I'll give you another story. Brahmagupta. Okay. Brahmagupta figured out the circumference of Earth to be about 36,000 kilometers. And he did that 1400 years ago. What business Brahmagupta has trying to figure out the circumference of Earth? How is that going to help him? How is that going to help humanity to find the circumference of Earth? No, scientific minds think like this. There is always a benefit for something. And today, when we ask, we don't ask America, why are you sending a rocket to Jupiter or Saturn or some other Mars? Why? How is that going to solve the water problem in Tamil Nadu? We need water here. Okay, what is the point in sending a rocket to Mars? No, we don't ask that question, because whatever scientific minds think like that. And so we should allow the minds to think like that. Okay, so Brahmagupta figured that out. Quadratic and intermediate equations and sums of squares, sums of cubes, like this, he's done so much work. So then I'll give you another example. Madhava of Sangamagrama, Kerala, today's Kerala. Okay, the master of calculus, all algebra and calculus and trigonometry, they have figured it out. And he lived at what time? He lived 1350, current era, which is about 650, 700 years ago. Okay, and he was the one who formed the Kerala School of Mathematics. Google that and find out. Kerala School of Mathematics. Okay, from there is the Narayana Bhattatri, some of you may know. And Narayana Bhattatri was an alumnus of that school. And so Kerala School of Astronomy and Mathematics. Okay. Now, like this in various fields, our people had excelled.